Hello and welcome to PENSDOWN. Today I've been joined by a lecturer in communication who is the executive director of the Media Center of Heritage Christian College, the owners of Truth TV on Multi TV. Prior to his appointment as director, he was the executive assistant to the president of the institution. He is a PhD student in business administration, communication and media management option at the Open University, Malaysia. He holds a Master of Arts degree in Mass Communication and Journalism from SMU, India, and a Bachelor of Arts degree in English with Linguistics from the University of Ghana. For 4 years, he taught communication skills at the business and law schools of the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration. He worked with the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation in various capacities as a reporter, newscaster, editor, program producer, as well as host and commentator for 7 years. In 2013, he was adjudged the best journalist in political reporting by the Ghana Journalists Association and was a finalist for Best TV Male Newscaster in 2014-2015. My guest is the CEO of the Conrad Group of Companies, a full-service communications consultancy firm, and has consulted for different institutions and businesses, including the University of Ghana, Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, Ministry of Finance, Ideal College, GDA Concepts, and the Center for Transformational Leadership Africa. He is a personal coach, motivational speaker, and author of 3 books. Conrad Kakraba is my guest. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, and thank you so much, Stephen, for this opportunity to be on your show.
Right. Some of us who watched and listened to you from afar, we saw somebody who spoke with some clarity that most of us on the streets would not be able to speak the same way, especially for somebody like me whose entire lifestyle revolved around print journalism. I didn't need speaking for anything. You know, what was it like working in a TV station, especially at the state broadcaster?
It was a very interesting, very challenging, and very instructive or educational journey. I went to the University of Ghana and I studied English, linguistics, and history. And I was hoping to become a teacher, a lecturer in English. You know, I loved language. And so I wanted to do something related to that. But along the line, I started picking up skills in communication in terms of media communication by being a student volunteer at Radio Universe of the University of Ghana. And so when I completed in fact, I did my national service at the same University of Ghana as the tutorial assistant for my national service. But later on, GBC was looking for newscasters. And so I applied. And then when I went through the process, I was one of those that were selected to be at the TV. And so we're only 2 gentlemen, myself and Abdul Mumin at that time. And then I think 7 other ladies or 5 ladies, I've forgotten, but we were the only ones who were selected for television. And so we started picking up the skills bit by bit because we had not really done television before. But, you know, GBC has a training school and they took us through all that we needed to know in order for us to be on air. So I learned a lot from GBC. That was where I actually picked up the television experience. I also did my best to learn from others who were already broadcasting for several years. The Ebenezer Mpabins, the Akushika Akways, and the Giftiantis, and, you know, Barbara Gazes, and all of those people who were there, you know, all of those were inspiring as, you know, to be able to pick up the lessons bit by bit, because there are a lot to learn. And as young people who had just left school and coming into that national, broadcaster, we needed to really take our time, pick up lessons, and then be practicing bit by bit. And so it was really a learning experience for me.
Okay, so at the time you realized you had an interest in media, was it as a result of consistently following the works of a known broadcaster or a known media person, or it was purely out of an interest you had, which was unconnected to the works of any known journalist out there?
I mean, at that time, there were a lot of journalists that I was looking up to. From GBC, from TV3, Metro TV, all of those people. I mean, Gideon Ayikwe. In fact, even the female newscasters at that time, Nanaba Namwayanko, Israel Lai, Metro TV, Erica Gbenyo, all of those people were inspiring. Whatever they were doing, it was really, really something that we wanted to do. I wanted to do. And I picked up lessons. I never knew that there would be an opportunity for me to become a broadcaster and be on TV like them. But I was just learning. Sometimes I would just, go into my room and then start practicing like what they were doing. You see, sometimes I'll take scripts and start reading. Sometimes I'll just live that kind of visualize and practice like they were doing. And that really helped me a lot, because when it was time to do what they were doing.
Oh, wow. I see. So getting into GBC, you ended at the TV arm of the state broadcaster. But on the University of Ghana campus, it was Radio Universe where you had your first romance, more or less, with the media. Now, why did you opt for television when you had a background in radio? Why didn't you opt for radio?
Interesting. You see, GBC at that time was looking for newscasters for both radio and television.
Okay.
And when we went through the training, it was their prerogative to select who would go. Now, we were all, in fact, 20 of us were selected, after our training, 20 of us were selected. But all of us went to radio. We were all sent to Radio Ghana to go and practice for 3 months. And so we were on radio, we were doing voiceovers, we were doing reports, we were doing news in brief, and that sort of thing. So after some time, then they will now decide who they would send to TV, because they were looking for some people for TV, some for radio. And so we didn't really opt for it. Yeah.
Okay. Now tell me, describe your first experience on Radio Ghana. Your first experience when the microphone was active in front of you and you knew that, well, this is Ghana's #1 platform. Yeah. What was the experience like?
I remember it was, okay, so we're doing voiceovers. And so one of the things that we really were doing was, after we had voiced stories and they were being sound bites, I mean, we sat back and then listened to ourselves. And that was really very interesting and exciting. But when they gave us the opportunity to do news in brief, I remember my first experience, it was just for about 2 minutes or 3 minutes, to read the news. I already had some little confidence. And so I was just, I just delivered, the stories, I think 2 or 3 stories, and it was a bit, I was a little bit nervous, but I think that I was able to nail it.
Oh, I see.
I was able to nail it.
Now, GBC has a good number of backroom staff that would assess your performance whenever you are on air, delivering anything.
Yeah.
And I'm sure afterwards you would get some feedback in the form of what you should have done right, what you didn't do, what you need to polish and all that. Did you, after your first encounter on air, did you have any such feedback? What was it?
Of course. I remember, I think my news editor at that time, what's his name? I think Samuel or Collins Asa. Yeah, I think, and he was the one who drew my attention to the pronunciation of some words. GBC doesn't joke with pronunciation.
That's right.
So
yes,
pronunciation of a few words, one or two, and I don't remember quite well which words they were, but immediately, I mean, he commended the voice, what they call lifting the script, which is about you deliver it in a way that is newsy. And so apart from that, he just wanted me to learn a few words well. And for GBC, once you mispronounce a word, they'll write it on the board for everybody to come and learn that word the following day. And it was a nice experience, So we had people who always were helpful in giving us the necessary corrections that we needed to do.
You entered at a time they had a pool of extremely talented on-air resources, on air and of course off air. You had the likes of Ebenezer and Pabin, Taikiche, Gifty Auntie, Akushi Kakwe, Barbara Gazy. I can't exhaust the list. Now, how friendly or how intimidating was the atmosphere when you got there and you realized that, hey, so all these people I have been seeing on TV and hearing on radio, now they are here in flesh and blood. How was the experience? First time meeting them?
Well, I mean, you see, GBC was a place that, it was very friendly to work with. Everybody was welcome, and the presenters, the veterans, were very, very accommodating. And so when we went, they themselves, they felt that, they needed some fresh blood and some young people. And so they welcomed us and then trained us, gave us opportunities to do things, quickly and learn. And I remember that when we went to television, my boss, Johnny Aite, the late Johnny Aite, may his soul rest in peace. He's such, he's someone who is very innovative, very creative, very welcoming of new talents and energy, fresh blood, and so immediately he saw us, he noticed that we had something to offer. And he was just pushing us every now and then. He would just give the story, go and work on it, go and voice it, and then when there is a little opportunity for somebody to be on air, to read, he would just send you there. So I remember my first time of reading the news the afternoon news on GTV. One colleague who was supposed to read was on assignment. It was an assignment and she hadn't returned, and it was getting to time for news. And immediately Johnny said, "Conrad, get ready, get into the makeup room, put some powder on your face, and get on air in the next 10 minutes." I was like, what? And I got in there, and it was nice. I had to do an interview with somebody from Equatorial Guinea, one of our correspondents, and it went well. And so when I got that experience, it wasn't intimidating any longer to be on air. But the first time I had to sit with Gifty Auntie on the 7 o'clock, the major news bulletin, that was on 31st December 2010. Gifty Auntie, hey! It wasn't easy. Small boy like me, at that time I was like, 25 years or so. And, Gifty Auntie was there. But, I was like, wow. And even the way we're seated, you could see as if a mother and then a son. And we were supposed to read the news together, but she would always, pat your back and tell you, "Hey, Kakraba, don't worry, this one, just take it cool and be confident, okay? Don't worry at all. It will go well." And you see, she would try to prop you along, hold your hand along the way, just to make sure that you are comfortable. She will not intimidate you by raising the bar too high, So she was really, really friendly, and you see, she took all of us as the children, we the young people, and so we already gelled with her in the newsroom before coming on air. So it was really, really exciting being on set with her on the major news for the first time. And since then, now, the opportunities were just coming.
Back to that, your first experience on TV, where you were an emergency sit-in for a colleague who unfortunately outside for an assignment, he couldn't come in good time to do. Now, after you finished that one, what was the first thing that came to your? I mean, there's somebody I spoke to, and he said after reading his first news item, he rushed to the washroom to go and see his face. And
for me, what I did was to go, and then we always ask for the recordings, and so immediately I wanted to see my recording. How did I do? I mean, how was I looking on air? How was I pronouncing the words? What was my voice sounding like? And how did I, project my voice? All of those things. So immediately I rushed to go and get a copy of the recording to just, go through it and see, because people will tell you what they think, but you yourself, you needed to also see what exactly did you do. And you have your own standards as well. The best people do it before. It's how they, did it and that sort of thing. And also in the process, then you try to also carve a niche for yourself, because you may imitate a lot of people, you may imitate people, but in the long run, you have to make sure that you are carving a niche for yourself. Let people know that this is Conrad Kakraba, different from Benizam Pabin, different from, Niodate Lamte, different from any other person. And so, because everybody has their own style and personality. And so I wanted to also develop my own style along the line. And I think I was able to do it.
Wow. So let's look at your first man of being exposed on TV, reading news, doing one thing or the other. On television, how long did it take you for you to settle, be comfortable, and tell yourself, now the reality is here, I just have to face it? How long did it take you?
I think it took about 6 months to be able to do that. In fact, because at GBC, when we went to the television, it took 1 year for me to be on the major news bulletin. But I was doing news in brief and that sort of thing in the first 2 months, 3 months, and then late news. They will give you late news opportunities the next month or so. Then later on, afternoon news or weekend news. When people are not watching TV, that's when they like you to be on air, because they don't want to expose you too much. All your mistakes and everybody.
That's right.
So when people are at church on Sundays, or people are at funerals on Saturdays in the afternoon, or when people are asleep for late news, that's when they would let you read the news. And it was good. It was good because sometimes if you make a terrible mistake, you wish I hope nobody watched this news bulletin. But you would know that people always watch, no matter the time. Somebody is watching, and especially those who are so used to the language and GDC style and how to correct people, they will always call. They will always, immediately you get down from the studio, somebody is holding the phone and says, "Conrad, they're waiting for you." Here's a call for you, and you don't know the person. It's just an interested fan, or somebody who is an educationist, somebody who is a linguist, or somebody who knows the pronunciation of certain towns or names of people, French, speakers. And it was helpful because we opened up and let people, the public, teach us. Because if you butcher anybody's hometown name, they immediately you finish reading the news, the hometown, the person will, somebody from that town will call and say, no, this is not the name of our hometown, So, and that's good about Ghanaians, the fact that we love to help people to grow up and then learn the best, and then and become what they really are made of. And so people would always offer suggestions, and so from that, so about 6 months before I started reading the afternoon news bulletins. Then it took 1 year before I was able to make it to the major news bulletin, at 7 p.m. And since then, the opportunities just were rolling out. I had opportunities to host programs, regional diary. I was given my own program, World View, that's telling the African stories about international news and how they are connected to Ghana. And then also opportunities to travel abroad. I was able to travel to, where did I even go? 2013, I went to Austria, Vienna, Austria, to cover a program, a general conference of the International Atomic Energy Agency. And then also 2014, I went to India as well, and, after that, also covering live programs, going on live broadcasts of parades, independence parades, inauguration of presidents. So President Mahama inauguration, I was the main anchor, for GBC. And then running commentary for all of those events. Atta Mills, when the late President Atta Mills also passed away, I was one of the anchors as well. I had to go and do documentaries across the country, on his life. And then later on, I had to sit with Giftianti and Co, to also chip in a few words. And then also lying in state. When he was laid in state, I was one of the anchors that was interviewing the guests that were coming to file past and all of that. And, a Supreme Court election petition, that was the biggest, opportunity for me. I had to prepare myself and get to the courtroom when I had never reported from court room before, and I was just called that, hey, Conrad, I've done these things, in different areas. You can still do live commentary. And so get to the courtroom and then do the live broadcast for all television stations to pick. I was like, whoa. And so it's just that kind of graduated, exposure. That's what, television, especially GBC was. And I really, really enjoyed the journey. Yeah.
Did being on TV take your private life away from you?
Yes and no. Yes, because sometimes, wherever you go, everybody seems to know you. Even up to today, wherever I go, people are still asking, hey, and your papa Wayna, are you not the one? Are you not the one? Are you not the one? Sometimes you pretend like you're not the one, but you can't hide. You can't hide, because once people know you, there's no way you can hide. The only thing that people have been wondering about is about the cloth, because when they see you in a normal shirt or suit or something, they're like, you look different or younger from when you were wearing the cloth. And so a bit if you are the same person, and but I try as much as possible to also have my private life, family. My wife is a very quiet lady, and so many people do not know her. She doesn't want to be known. She wants to live a quiet life and all of that. And we try to to maintain that kind of life. My children as well, my two sons, they too, very quiet sometimes, but so we try to keep away from the public eye. And it can be frustrating sometimes if you are too much in the public domain, it affects the family sometimes, especially if they are not people who are public, minded or oriented and that sort of
Yeah.
thing. So I try to keep some private
Okay,
life.
so let's look at your first time on the major news, 7
Yeah.
p.m. That is where probably so many people who matter in the society are behind their TV sets, ready to watch you.
Yeah.
Who did you do that with? Were you alone?
No, as I said, it was with Gifty Auntie.
With Gifty Auntie. Okay,
Yeah,
great.
but earlier, prior to that, we were doing, I think 2010, was it AFCON or so, or World Cup? I've forgotten. 2010, there was a major tournament.
Yeah, there was a World Cup in South Africa.
Exactly, that's it. So it was World Cup in South Africa, and so I was a sports anchor. I was supposed to be reading the sports news, and yeah. So and it was at 7 o'clock. So there was some kind of appearances, short appearances prior to my reading with Gifty Auntie, and so I had done just a bit of the short segments before the major one where you sit on the same desk with Gifty Auntie.
Now, after 6 months that you had settled in, now you were convinced, your confidence had built up to the point that the butterflies in the tummy, the goosebumps and all that would lessen, if not go away completely.
Yeah.
Now, beyond those 6 months, when you knew you were confident enough to face the camera, was there a day you went on air on GTV, and afterwards you yourself was convinced that this delivery, no, I think is below. I didn't do well.
Of course. Of course. There were a lot of times, where you've put in your best, you've done your best in terms of preparation, but things go wrong sometimes. It may not be from you, it may be from the cameraman or somebody who is rolling the teleprompter for you. There is a teleprompter and somebody will be controlling it from another room, for you to read. Sometimes it can get messed up. Sometimes it can just stop. Sometimes, there are several things that happen. And so one of the days, for example, I was reading the major news, and, I think there was the camera mistakenly took me while the montage was rolling, and so I was on air without knowing that I was on air. And the monitor too, I think it wasn't picking or something, and so I didn't see, and immediately, so everybody saw it that I was on air, and I think, what were we doing? I think we're chit-chatting, or doing something, and
was your audio active?
And immediately, the camera picked us. Yeah, and and then at another time too, the camera was supposed to pick me, but it was not focused on me properly, and I was just trying to signal the camera guy to just turn the camera on me because I had started reading, but the camera was not on me, and I had to bang the table unconsciously. I was so furious. I had to bang the table, and before his mind turned to me, and it was that bad, but and when there is a mistake, everybody in the country would know about it. People say they don't watch GTV, but when there is a mistake, that's when you would know the kind of people who watch GTV. and so everybody would call, Conrad, what happened? That's not you, blah, blah, blah. Why did you bang the table? Blah. Hey, so everybody saw that part, and it was so terrible. But when I came down, of course, my bosses gave it to me. They're like, "Hey, never do that again. Hey, you always have to compose yourself." And then there is one lesson that my boss taught me. Is it my boss Titi Anepe? She was like, if you are on air and a fly enters your mouth, you must chew it and swallow it.
Really?
Don't let the public know, yes, that a fly has entered your mouth.
Oh
yeah, that was a hard lesson to learn, that day. Said if you are on air and a fly enters your mouth, chew the fly, swallow it. Don't let anybody know that a fly has entered into your mouth. I was like, wow, then this journey, we must really buckle up.
That means bottom line is serve the country, project yourself in the best possible way, minus your inconvenience.
All the challenges, don't focus on the challenges. Sometimes you know, maybe your head, there is something, I mean, there's something, an ant biting you, or you feel like you have to scratch your hair or something. You can't do anything. You just have to keep up the composure until you go off in terms of, like, you know, maybe the news story has been rolled out, and then you cannot do whatever you want to do. Sometimes you want to drink water, and, you know, if mistakenly, I remember, you know, one of my bosses, you know, she was drinking water when the story was rolling, and the camera took her, you know. So it's, yeah, sometimes some of these things happen, and it's,
in this case, is it that the camera timed things wrongly, or what really happened?
No, sometimes, of course, I mean, maybe a switcher in the, how do you call it, in the MCR, mistakenly pressed a camera, and which is not supposed to be on air, and then you know, so some of these things happen, but we try as much as possible to avoid all of those things and to have a seamless production.
What is the greatest inconvenience you have endured while live on TV? Greatest inconvenience? Is it tests?
While live on TV?
Is it some itching something, or what is it?
I think it's one. I was commentating on the State of the Nation address, you know, by the president at that time, John Mahama, 2012. My wife was pregnant, and she had some complications, birth complications. You know, at that time she was at a hospital, and that very day, you know, a surgery, I mean a CS, was to be performed. And I was on air, and they were calling me, you know, to, you see, you have to get consent from the husband or somebody before they perform, and it was an emergency cesarean section they had to perform, and you know, you don't know whether to pick the call or to continue, you know, and you are live on television, and everybody knows that, hey, this production must go on well, but not knowing there's something that was happening also at the hospital. And, you know, we lost that child, unfortunately. That was our first child, you know. Yeah, and that day, it wasn't easy at all when I had to finish the broadcast and rush to the hospital. And so sometimes, you know, you may have some personal issues and all of that, you know, but you just have to keep smiling as if all is well.
I remember when I spoke with Thelma Taki. Thelma Taki was my mate at Ghana Institute of Journalism. And she told me, Ghana doesn't care. You need to get the job done, no matter the inconvenience. And I think your point buttresses it very well. So once you're alive, the camera is rolling, you have to get the job. And I think your point buttresses it very well.
Of course. I mean, your inconvenience, nothing. I mean, sometimes we had to sleep over at work, you know, and wake up still looking fresh, you know, just because we want to make sure that we get the job done. Sometimes you leave, you know, work at 12 a.m., you know, 1 a.m. Sometimes, you know, you have to go home. If you're driving yourself, you have to drive through all of that. Sometimes feeling sleepy and all of that. You have to wake up again, come for breakfast show. You know, by 5 a.m. you have to be at work and that sort of thing. A whole lot of stress. But journalism teaches us that we have to endure for the public good, you know.
Now, when it comes to the issue of pronunciation, GTV, GBC staff, on-air, on-screen staff are extremely careful and cautious about getting it right. Now, when you go to GTV and you are being trained on how to pronounce the words or the names or places correctly, what are you told? Is it supposed to be a lifestyle or like a role in a movie, such that when you are on air, you have to do that, but when you are off, you can say it the way you want? Or it should be something you should take it on as a way of life?
Yeah. I mean, GBC teaches us one thing. I mean, from the training school, And everybody who goes to GBC, they make sure that you go through the GBC training school. Okay. They make sure once you be an on-air presenter or reporter, they'll make sure that you go through the training school, get the house style, the pronunciation, you know. And there is a dictionary that they always use. You see they call it Daniel Jones, the Cambridge Pronouncing Dictionary, you know. And you have to get one. You have to buy one or get one at all costs. And there is always one at the studio, always one in the newsroom, and you have to always cross-check your pronunciations and make sure that you get them right, because that's the standard. It's like the BBC standard, and so that's what GBC uses. And they will impress upon you to, if you're speaking someone's language, make sure that you get the pronunciation right, the way the person would pronounce it. Okay. And so if it's a local language, there is always someone from that area who knows how to pronounce the name. So just ask the person. Ask the person. There is always someone who knows, and you know, GBC to all the local languages, the major local languages, you know, they have news in them and departments and all of that. Go and ask them how to pronounce this particular name. And we always have to do that. So before you go on air, 1 hour to time, we are roaming about asking people, you know, how do you pronounce this? How do you do that? How do you do that? And with time, you get so used to it. There's one woman who is noted for that. You know, that's Mercy Sowa, you know, at the radio. Yes. She is excellent. She won't get it wrong because she has asked somebody who knows how to pronounce it. So when she comes on air, you see the confidence with which she pronounces the words, and they always make her reference point for diligence, due diligence in terms of looking for how do you get this word right. Spanish word, you know, French word, English word, fancy, you know, every or Inzima, wherever. You have to get somebody who knows how to pronounce it. And so they urge us to learn it and become, you know, it becomes a part and parcel of your life. So that it isn't like when you're on air, then your voice changes. When you come out, then your voice changes. No, that's how the people speak. So when you go to the GBC environment, everybody who is speaking the English language speaks in a certain way. That's right. And yes, and so people ask us, why do you speak this way? You know, people ask us, my students, I teach, you know, as well. And so students always ask, why do you speak that way? I'm like, well, that's how I've been taught. That's how I've been trained. And I have to speak it to you that way for you to also learn.
I was even coming to that. How many heads have you turned in public speaking the way you've been taught?
I mean, if people hear you speak English impeccably, they're like, wow, you know, and I think it's one of the things that Ghanaians are used to. They love people who speak the local language very well. And then they love people who, if it's broadcasting in, you speak it so well. And so Ghanaians are able to appreciate quality. And that's one of the things that I took from GBC, that if you are doing English, just do it well. If you're doing local language, do it well. And people would love you.
But you see, for some of us, while growing up, we thought English was about vocabulary and grammar. You know, once your subject-verb agreement is good and you have a good bank of vocabulary to support yourself, you're good to go. But here we are, you listen to GBC and I say effort. They say what? What do you say? Efforts.
Effort.
So I keep wondering, I mean, which part of the planet are these people coming from? And what exactly happened to them? Because I have course mates. Ebenezer Kwesi Donko is my course mate. Thelma Taki is my course mate at GBC. Mutala, who is in the Tamale, is my course mate.
Tamale, sure.
And you listen to them and you wonder, but you were not like this in GID. What happened to you?
Exactly. It changed along the line. They had to pick up, the house style, and then also be able to, improve upon it. Sometimes it's not even the institution that will be urging you on, but you yourself, you see that you have to meet up, because a lot of colleagues, have gone up, and you have to really meet up, because if you're not good, GBC, I mean, they don't do favoritism, they will drop you because there are veterans, who are always watching the station. And once you're not good in pronunciation, they will call the station right away and they will get you off, because they want to maintain a certain standard. And that one, it's a cherished quality of. Yeah, there are veterans who have passed through the system, and they always watch it. They watch the news, they watch the programs, and they will always recommend that this particular person, no, we don't like his tonation, his the modulation, voice modulation, the pronunciation and enunciation of the words, and so get the person back to the training school. and people have gone back to the training school, and after some time, when they're certified, before they'll come back again on air. It's not been easy, but all of
that means with all these checkmates at the back of your mind, if you get the opportunity to be on air,
you gotta deliver.
Excellent at it is non-negotiable.
It's non-negotiable. You have to live up to expectation. You have to live up to expectation. And GBC, you see, the problem of GBC has never been one of quality. GBC sacrifices no quality at all in terms of presentation and all of that,
Yes.
But the only problem has been about branding and promotion and that sort of thing. And I think right now, GBC is picking up, in terms of those things. And so it could have been the BBC of Africa, but because of a few things that didn't go right. So in terms of quality of presenters and all of that, that one, GBC got all of that. It's just that certain things didn't go right along the line. Yeah.
There are a lot of media houses, radio, television houses, local and English language. Why did you settle for GBC?
Oh, I mean, as I said, it was an opportunity that came. They were looking for newscasters, and I just applied with no prior experience in television. But I went straight, and then I was one of the people who were selected. And so it was like a leap into the abyss or the dark or wherever it was leading me to. I was willing to go and experience it. And along the line, other stations came, private stations came, top television stations that we know in the country came looking for us to poach. Some of our colleagues left, and they are currently there. And some of them, And so we all had such offers, Conrad, we want you to bring your CV today, send it today. And I didn't want to go to any of such private media at that time, because I wanted to pick the best from GBC, and then also to lead the revolution to make sure that GBC was also getting the quality on air, and then also, projecting the young faces and all of that. So we all left, it was difficult for the kind of thing that we wanted to see GBC, doing to be done. And so I didn't want to leave at that time. And it was when I had to go to school, start my PhD, that, there was a huge, burden on my mind to now decide, what do you want to do now? And so I had to, I had to get out.
So you say you
but one
you
day, one
teach.
time, we still get it.
Okay, you say you still teach. Yes. What do you teach currently?
Currently, I teach communication skills and then literature in English at Heritage Christian University College in Amasaman, Accra.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Do they run communication studies as a program, training of would-be journalists?
So we are here to begin a department of media studies that will offer degree programs. But currently, our TV station, Truth TV, we have schools so that offers certificate courses. So those ones, they are unaccredited courses. It's just training practical skills for 4 months, and then 2 months attachment with our TV station. So that's all that we have currently. Yeah, and then so
journalism.
Yeah.
Journalism in Ghana is suffering a lot of attrition. So many trained, qualified professionals are abandoning the crafts in search of better conditions of service or better paychecks elsewhere. Indeed, it is not just on the field of practice, even in the lecture halls. I did a check with the GIG's, Ghana Institute of Journalism's Facebook page this year when they uploaded the list of candidates who had been offered admission. And I realized that those going for journalism were just a few, but the public relations students were like 3-4 times the numbers that were going for journalism. What about journalism is making it increasingly unattractive to the masses?
One is proliferation of media houses in Ghana. So we have so many media houses in Ghana, and they are not breaking even. They are not getting revenue, and so they don't pay the staff well. It is difficult to run a media house in Ghana. There are so many bottlenecks. There are so many things that you have to do. It's very expensive, you know, and it's not something that you would like to get into if you're not really financially stable. And thus, media houses, they will just take 1 or 2 people who are not well trained and that sort of thing, and you know, just to be able to pay them very low salaries and that sort of thing. And so journalists have not had the best of experience in terms of remuneration in the media houses. And so they won't encourage other people to get into it unless you have that kind of passion, you know, and you just want to do something for yourself and not really depend on anybody. And so public relations is paying, you know, and companies, you know, organizations are looking for PR, you know, and brand ambassador, brand and communication people. And so people are getting into that development communication as well. You know, it's also selling a lot of NGOs and these institutional, you know, there are organizations, you know, that come up, you know, and they need a lot of development communicators across the country to do things for them. And so many of the media people are getting attracted to these offers, and journalism is not really selling. What can be done? I think that, of course, if you go to some of the top-notch media houses, you know, still there is good remuneration reward because they're able to break even and that sort of thing, and pay their workers well and that sort of thing. So there are still avenues, there are still places to work, you know, and to get better conditions in Ghana as a journalist. But I think that many people who want to get into the media landscape should focus on enterprising journalism. What you're doing, for example, enterprising journalism. You know, if you check Wodemaya, for example, you know, he's not a journalist, he's an engineer. And he's just the first person to hit 1 million subscribers on YouTube in Ghana. And if you see the quality of stories that he does, I mean, he goes across Africa and then projects the beautiful things on the continent. I mean, just tell the narrative, trying to change the narratives, tell the interesting and exciting things happening across Africa. And he is making money, you see? So the enterprising journalism that I'm talking about is, if you yourself, you want to create your own content and be able to sell it out, you know, and do YouTube or certain other social media pages that don't need to necessarily be attached to a media house as an established media institution before you can make it. And so I'm excited about what you are doing you know, and that's why we want to promote it.
Some of us are already old men after some 16 years or so of journalism practice. I mean, we have decided to retire with conversations and all
I
that,
see.
you know.
That's great. That's great. It's inspiring.
Oh yeah. I got this idea while I was teaching at the university. I taught there for 4 years. And some of my students, I mentioned it to them that this is one idea I want some of them to pursue. In fact, it's been 6 or 8 years. My blueprint was still down. Nobody had pursued it. So I decided that I'll roll it out myself because I am still the visioneer. Since nobody wants to do it, I feel that it's a unique area that still remains untouched, so we can exploit. But with what you are saying about enterprise journalism, then we should be looking at introducing entrepreneurship into the curricula of journalism institutions.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I mean, that is the way to go. And so in our university, for example, Heritage Christian University, it is compulsory. I mean, it's a course, you know, that you have to take no matter what you're doing. Entrepreneurship is a compulsory course. And then, you know, apart from that, we don't just leave it there. We make sure that, you know, there's a whole center, a center for entrepreneurship, philanthropy, and ethics, you know, that now holds the hands of the students, not just academic things, holds their hands, and then, you know, makes them write business plans and proposals, pitch them, you know, and then even gives them startup capital to be able to begin their own businesses. So if it's YouTube channel that you want to operate and, you know, you can convince the board, you will be giving startup capital, giving students, the least has been 10,000 cities, the highest has been 35,000 cities, you know. So we are, you know, making sure that the young people do not just sit down and say there's no job. There are a lot of opportunities, and we need our academic institutions to add entrepreneurship to the training so that when people come out, whether you're a journalist or PR, whatever, you should add entrepreneurship. See how you can actually start something on your own. Even if you're working with an institution, you know, a media house, how can you start something on your own? And I was excited to know, you know, for example, Jessica or Saforo of City FM, she just started a YouTube channel, you know, and she's doing so well. When she was explaining how much she's earning, that is cool. You see, so many people didn't really appreciate that aspect and didn't see the prospects of it. But these days, lots of people are making it through that. And therefore, I will encourage young people to do it. And I'm excited about what you're doing. Yeah.
Okay. Now, let me give you the next 3 to 5 minutes to give us a brief about Heritage Christian College, the courses they run, the contact numbers, the websites, and, you know, all other information necessary for would-be students so that they can make the move, take the decision, and then be part of your environment.
Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you so much for this opportunity, Stephen. So Heritage Christian University College is at Amasaman, Accra. It is accredited by the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission. You know, that is the former NAB, National Accreditation Board, is now Ghana Tertiary Education Commission. And we are affiliated to KNUST. And so our degrees come from KNUST. That's for the degree programs. And the degree programs are a Bachelor of Business Administration, focusing on marketing, human resource management, banking and finance, accounting, and business and information technology management. And then we also have Bachelor of Science in Information Technology, and then Bachelor of Theology. This university prides itself in providing training, as I just explained, in entrepreneurship. I mean, we are the only university in Ghana, and I dare say across Africa, that makes sure that students who are trained in entrepreneurship are also given startup capital funded by the university. You know, so we have trained students, you know, and given them about 40 to 50 students since we started just about 5 years ago. We've given about 50 students startup capital. You know, they have to be in groups. And all of that capital is amounts to about 350,000 Ghana cedis, you know, given to various groups of students and businesses of theirs littered across the country. Now, when you come here as well, technology is one of the things we don't joke with. Every student, you know, is encouraged to own a laptop or use a laptop, because we know how the world is going. Everything you do now is technology based. And if you don't have one, the university gives you a laptop, and you know, you spread the cost for 4 years to pay bit by bit, because no books, you don't buy books there, no printing, no photocopy, nothing. Everything is on the laptop, on our server. And then also we try as much as possible to inculcate ethics in whatever we do, because the world is corrupt, and we want people to come and change, you know, the world. And so ethics is one of the things that we focus on. And last but not least, philanthropy. We make sure that everybody is trained here to give back to society. Whatever you have been given, as the Bible says, you know, to whom much is given, much is required. And so we train our students in that regard. And then the final thing I must let everybody know is that we also create an opportunity for students, or I mean anybody who wants to bring us students. So if you bring us one student, you get 300 Ghana cedis reward.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Wow. Wow.
Get 300 Ghana cedis. Just refer the student, tell the person, give the person, you know, my name, that go and see Conrad Kakraba. And once, you know, the person pays the first fees, you know, the person gets, I mean, you get 300 Ghana cedis. And if you bring as many students, every one of them 300 Ghana cedis. Wow. And, you know, we have also reduced our fees by 50% because of COVID, you know, and so our fees are very moderate, you know, for this particular period. We are starting school on 17th, just next Monday, and students will be reporting. Then the media school is also there. As I said, we do journalism programs, newscasting, reporting, presentation, and then we do multimedia, video editing, camera shooting, and social media management and other things. Those ones, you know, are certificate courses. So that's a bit. You can go to our website, Heritage Christian College. Just Google Heritage Christian College, or www.hcuc.edu.gh, you know, and then you can read more about this university. And then also my number, you can contact me, you know, anytime, so that if you want to make any inquiries, 020 67 30 38 2, 020
yes,
020 67 30 382. You can contact me anytime on WhatsApp. You can call, and then you can also send us an email, you know, aquaba@hcuc.edu.gh. So thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity to talk to you, Stephen.
It's been an interesting conversation with you.
Yeah,
a lot to learn, a lot of behind the scenes moments that would never have been told anywhere. And
exactly.
Let me ask you one last question. If you have the opportunity to go back 15 years,
great,
would it still be journalism, and would it still be broadcasting?
Of course, I will do the same thing, you know, over again. Journalism, I'll do it, because if I hadn't been a journalist, some of the opportunities that I'm getting right now, I wouldn't have gotten them.
Okay.
So I was at GBC when, you know, I had opportunity to serve, you know, GIMPA, for example. I served GIMPA, you know, in terms of, you know, helping them to project some of their stories and the things that they were doing. And, you know, it was through one of those opportunities that I got to meet a professor who said, "Oh, Conrad, you know, we've been admiring you on air and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, have you got a master's degree?" I said, "Yes, I just finished the master's, you know, and that was in 2013, you know." And he said, "Okay, we would like you to start teaching communication here." I said,
just
wow.
Like that.
Yes, you see. So it was through journalism that I had an opportunity to lecture at GIMPA at the business school. And then immediately the faculty of law also saw that I was there, and they also came to pull me in that I should come and teach their students, you know, communication skills. And so opportunities abound. once you practice your craft well as a journalist, people are going to see you and they will ask you to come and do it for them. Yeah. So I'll do the same thing all over again.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for this opportunity and this conversation. Thanks a lot for joining us today. This has been Pens Down. On Pens Down, the journalists is the news. They are no more the reporters. They put down their working tools and then they tell us what they go through before they bring you those jaw-dropping stories and eye-popping editorials and all those pictures that make you shout or laugh or sit and enjoy the news. We'll be back next time with another guest. Stay tuned and be sure to subscribe. Stephen Jesse Jr. is the channel name. Thanks a lot for joining us. We'll be back.
All right. Bye-bye.